in addition to being, the EST, one of the best in the business right now, I think what comes with that in wrestling is a whole presentation thing, right? And I'm talking the look of a wrestler, how they move, how they act, how they walk, how they talk. Now, you are known for your ring gear that you make yourself and for the braid. Like, my mom used to be a seamstress when I was a kid. So we had a sewing machine in the house, and I'd always see patterns and, the materials. And my mom would bring this huge spool of like material home. And then next thing you know, I had a bathrobe like 4 hours later. So I just wanted to know the inspiration for your outfits in your sewing. Where did that come from? And where did the idea of the braid come from?
Ooh, so for sewing, I've always kind of made my own clothes, even as a kid. My mama had that that blue cookie tin container.
Yeah, with all the needles and the thread in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, everybody has something different in it. It has everything but cookies in it. Well, right. Ours had the sewing needle and the thread, but I used to just sew up the holes in socks, and I used to sew pillowcases together. I was always creating things, and then in high school, I used to create our track team's T-shirts, and I was always the designer. I always loved fashion. So when I got into CrossFit, it's kind of when it started. I wore tutus, and I wore these big bows, and I wore capes and entrance pieces for CrossFit. And I just was having fun with it. And I was I'm going to bring personality to it. And then when I got into WWE, I tried to get a gear maker, but it's hard for me to tell somebody what's in my mind and have them bring it to life. And sometimes I don't even know what I'm doing. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it myself. I'm a hands-on person, and I'm a control freak as it is. So I started making my own gear. My husband bought me my first sewing machine when I was in NXT, and I have some gears from the beginning where I look back and I'm like, why y'all should have told me that was not cute. But with a lot of practice, I've never taken a sewing class before. I've learned everything through trial and error and through YouTube. And for the inspiration, I try to look at the theme of what the PLE is and try to go off of that. Or I just try to bring something new to the table. I want to be known as somebody who is a trendsetter and is innovative. And I'm always trying to bring something new to the table. So the gear is a whole part of the presentation. And so I'm literally working on my gear now for Survivor Series. But I'm working on gear to the last minute. I'm in airports doing my gear. I'm taking a sewing machine or Instacart and a sewing machine at the hotels and doing my gear. It's a lot. It saves me a lot of money, but not a lot of time. But it's special because when I get to watch the video games or the action figures, that's gear that I made.
That's awesome.
That's dope.
Yeah. For the PLEs, I only wear my gear once because I want to look at that gear that takes me back to that specific moment. So, that's kind of where I get my inspiration for my gear. And as far as the braid, so the person behind the braid is actually my husband.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, kudos to him.
Okay, Tez, now how'd this come up?
Right.
Yeah. So I was a huge Beyonce fan. Well, I am a huge Beyonce fan. She wore a braid at the concert, and I was I'm just going to wear it just for a style. And I wore it one time at practice, and my coach was like, well, if you're going to wear it, you're going to have to figure out how to use it because the girls are just going to pull on it. And I was talking to my husband. I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to wear the braid. I kind of want to wear my hair down because I see what all the other girls are doing. They have their hair down and it's pretty. And my husband was like, nope. He was like, the best way to be successful in this business is to stand out. And he was like, look at what everybody else is doing and do the complete opposite. And he said, nobody else wears that braid. So wear it, you're going to stand out. He said, somebody might come to a show for the first time and they might not remember your name the first time, but they'll remember the girl with the braid.
Right. That's smart.
Because of him, I wore it and now it's my thing.
Watch new episodes of No Contest Wrestling every Wednesday or listen wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us at No Contest Wrestling Podcast on Instagram.